So we've already filmed this and I managed to delete everything. Yeah. So luckily Lisa didn't take it to heart.
Things happen, right?
Yeah. Do you want to introduce yourself to everyone?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Lisa. I've been living in my camper van for 2.5 years now. It's a Ford Transit, high top. It's got the, you know, self-contained kitchen and bathroom and all that stuff. And yeah, so I've spent the last 2.5 years traveling around New Zealand, enjoying life.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And you've got a blog about this lifestyle, or the emotional aspect?
Yeah, yes, I write a blog called Life Done Differently, and actually the blog kind of started ever so slightly before van life. So it was sort of that, yeah, I had made the decision that I wanted to do something different with my life, and I was going through the process of figuring out, you know, what do you do with life if you are in, you know, your mid-30s and you don't want to follow that traditional path around getting married, buying a house, having kids. And so at that point when I started the blog, all I really knew is that I'm going to do life differently. So that's the title, Life Done Differently. I call it a combination of van life and self-discovery blog.
Oh yes.
So it's not a travel blog. I hardly ever write about the places I visit, but it does kind of cover what it's like to live in the van. But a lot of it is also just about, yeah, me finding myself and, you know, my path in the world as someone who's kind of off the beaten track a little bit.
And how did you get into this lifestyle?
Yeah, so like I already sort of hinted when I talked about my blog, I was kind of at that point in my life where, you know, everyone else around me was getting married, having kids, buying houses, and, you know, it was really great to see them all so happy, but I was kind of like, it's not really what I want from life, but I didn't know what I wanted either, and I couldn't really see an alternative path. Like the only real option that I saw out there is career, you know, so people who don't want to do the family thing, especially women, you know, get really career focused, and I didn't really want to do that either. It's like, I don't want to spend the next 30 years just stuck in an office, and that's sort of my life and my legacy. And so it's like, okay, what do you do, right? And I guess where it all started for me is that I just realized, okay, if I want to do something different, I have to do something different, right? So
start something.
Yeah, exactly. And I figured, you know, if I just keep working every day, nothing's ever going to change. And so I had the idea, I bought the camper van, and originally I said that it's just going to be for summer. I think deep down inside I already knew it might go longer than that, but so I play it safe, and, you know, I say something I'll just do for summer, and then if I don't like it, it's like easy to kind of get out of it. Right, so I bought the van, and I said I'm going to just take the summer, you know, step back from work, and just figure out who I am when I'm not working all the time, and what I actually enjoy doing, what I want to spend my time on, and then you know, obviously I loved it. So yeah, really just loved the lifestyle. And work kind of you know, when I first had the idea, I thought I'd have to do it with my savings. But what actually happened is that I was able to work on the road, and so I was still, you know, earning enough to cover my costs, because as you know as well, you can, you know, do this quite cheaply if you do it right. And so it's like, actually I don't have to stop, you know, I can just keep going. And yeah, so now it's 2.5 years later, and here we are.
And then how do you earn on the road?
So I work as a marketing freelancer contractor, and I've been doing that for 5 years now, so, you know, quite a while before van life came into the picture. So I just work with companies. Most of them are B2B, so it's kind of my specialty, and I do a lot of brand strategy, marketing strategy, content strategy. More recently I've started to do a bit of sort of innovation consulting, because I've always worked with startups in the technology space, so all the stuff that's so, you know, in at the moment around agile and lean and fail fast is kind of how I've always worked. And now a lot of, you know, corporates and other companies are really interested in that stuff. So I do a bit of work around that, and, you know, probably not a lot of good things came out of COVID, but one of the good things that did come out of it for people like me is that, you know, working remotely has become so much more accepted, which is, you know, great for me. Like, I'm on a project right now that there's no way they would have been able to do that digitally 6 months ago, but now they do. And so yes, I'm super lucky. Like, I, you know, count my blessings every day when it comes to my work. I'm, you know, so lucky to have found something that I really enjoy, I'm good at, it gives me the flexibility I can do remotely, and, you know, pays enough to cover my lifestyle.
And that you have patches where you work more intensely, and then patches where you can travel. So far, like, I gotta stop saying that, like, knock on wood, but work is sort of like always kind of
works itself out.
Yeah.
Like the last 3 years now, over winter, you know, all of a sudden there's extra work, and then in summer it slows down a bit. And yeah, I gotta stop saying that, because it's gonna, like, at some point just
the joys
like,
of freelancing.
Yeah, start working like that. But yeah, so far I gotta say I've been really lucky.
Good
just
stuff.
yeah.
And then I know you write for a Caravan Magazine as well.
Yeah.
Interviewed me recently.
Exactly, yeah, so we did a deal. I get a story, Karen gets a video.
And then I managed to delete the first round.
Well, mind you, it took like, what, 5 months to get the story published.
It actually worked out.
It did,
Yeah,
it does.
yeah.
So I write for motorhome caravans and destinations. And that is actually, you know, when I said before that I wanted to stop working so much and figure out who I am, you know, outside of that, like, one of the things that really sort of popped up pretty much right away is writing. I love writing, and I always have, but there was that, you know, just that time in my life where I was so busy, you know, so much going on that I didn't do it. And then when I cut back on work and I was traveling and I had the time, I sort of, you know, just really rediscovered a total love for writing. And that's kind of where the blog, you know, comes in. And then started writing for the magazine, and then yeah, kind of started, you know, wrote a book. Just kind of out of nowhere a little bit. You know, was sort of traveling around, and there was this idea in my head, but it's kind of amazing what happens when you know, you're free, and you have the headspace, and things kind of just find you, and you've got the clarity.
Yeah, the chance, giving yourself a chance to be creative.
Yeah, exactly. And just letting ideas flow and not always be on a schedule and feel like you have to do certain things, and there's always this like long, you know, to-do list and backlog, and you feel like you can't afford to take time to do things you want to do.
To not be stressing so much about money and having the time.
Yeah, exactly. So that was amazing. I was just like, afterwards I realized that, you know, the idea for the book was all probably there for a long time, but, you know, having that space and headspace and time, it just kind of happened. Before I knew it, I was like writing.
And then you got a good sized book.
Yeah. So here it is, conveniently right there. So it's called One Size Does Not Fit All, and it's about finding happiness by getting to know yourself really well, figuring, you know, learning about your personality, your values, your beliefs. I'm a big believer in, you know, when it comes to happiness, just one size does not fit all, and I read a lot in this space. It's a real passion of mine, the whole like personal growth, psychology, you know, all that stuff. And but I got a bit frustrated with a lot of sort of books and authors kind of taking this, you know, here are the 5 steps to happiness, or here are the, you know, 3 secrets. And I don't know, I don't believe it works that way. I think happiness is about, you know, figuring out who you are and what matters to you, and then looking at, okay, you know, these are the things that may or may not make you happy, which of them apply to me and which don't. And so so that's where I guess the book comes from. It's sort of the it is definitely hugely based on my own experience. Like I guess I always say I'm a sort of a late bloomer in life. Like it took a little bit longer to, you know, find my place in the world and kind of, you know, find happiness, I guess. And but the way I found it is, you know, through exactly that. Like I got to know myself, learn about my values and my personality, and then I figured, actually, you know, the average person might be happier with this or that, but I'm not the average person. You know, I'm me, and some of these things just don't apply to me.
And would you like to show us around your van?
Yeah, sure. I can give you a little tour. We don't actually have to go far. So this is my kitchen. I've got my gas stove here. These fold down things are really handy, actually. And my sink here. I've got a fridge. And then there's a walk through to the driver's area. It's actually something that was really important for me when I bought it, that I can walk through, because being on my own so much, you know, I feel safer knowing that I can get from the bed into the driver's seat and take off anytime I want to. So and so then here is the bathroom. Like, it's just a little toilet and shower. I don't know if you can see that. You know, small bathroom, but for one person. It's all I need. Yeah, and so then I've got at the front, the passenger seat is actually what I call my garage. All your wet and dirty gear in winter that never dries, I've just got like stored at the front. And just have to reshuffle things when I drive somewhere, but at least it's sort of out of the way, and I feel like the living space is clean. This is my lounge / dining / office / bedroom. So at night I've got like these wood sort of things that I put in here, and then I pull this out, and then that's how it becomes my bed. And I work here, I eat here, I sleep here. I spend a lot of time sort of sitting in this spot. And then this is like, I think what everyone loves the most about my van is my sand collection. So I collect sand from not all the beaches I visit, because if I would do that then my van would be full of sand by now, but sort of, you know, beaches where I have like special memories. Put in glass bottles.
What happened for the lockdown for you?
So I was about 4 weeks into a 3-month South Island road trip. So ever since I've had the van, I've done like the North Island and sort of been all over, and I've always wanted to go down to the South Island and do like a good, you know, long stint down there. And at the beginning of this year, the situation was that like all my work was remotely. I did not need to be in Auckland for anything. So it's like, this is the time. I'm gonna go. And yeah, 4 weeks. And I was just north of Dunedin when they announced the lockdown. And then decided to head back up to Christchurch and I stayed at the holiday park in South Brighton, which was awesome. And it's actually quite funny because so I'm a surfer and a kite surfer and a water sports fan, as you know. So when they announced lockdown, I was like, okay, where can I go where I can, you know, surf and paddleboard and kite surf? And so I picked there because the campground is literally 2 minutes from the estuary and 4 minutes from the beach. And then of course, you know, within a few days all water sports were declared illegal. So that plan didn't quite work out.
Cruel.
But it was
there
really,
but not there.
I know, it was quite hard. But no, it was actually really awesome. Like I made some good friends on the campground. The campground owners were amazing. Like they looked after everyone so well, and to be honest, like it was kind of nice. Like things just slowed down. And you know, I kind of, up until then, I don't think I'd ever spent more than 4 nights in one place. Most of the time it's, you know, 1 or 2 nights.
Right.
And so then there was, you know, I think like 6 weeks in the end that I was at the one spot. And it was actually quite nice to not have to think every day, where am I going to go, where am I going to park, you know, is there going to be space, getting organized. So yes, I was glad when I could travel again. But
at the start of lockdown, I think I was the same. So, yeah, life became very simple.
Yeah, so in case you're wondering what you do when you're stuck in a camper van for 2 months over lockdown, well, apparently you crochet little fish and make yourself an aquarium. That's what I did anyway. In the first few weeks, going to the supermarket totally freaked me out.
Yeah.
You have that?
Yeah, I was the same. I actually sent Hayden the first few times.
I didn't have anyone to send, so I had to go. And I noticed, like, you definitely get some, like, weird looks when you go to the supermarket with a camper van. You know, and I sort of felt like real self-conscious, and how is everyone judging me and thinking I'm still traveling, and you know, I'm often being mistaken for a tourist and a visitor. You know, so oh, you know, that stupid girl just, you know, breaking the rules. And so I was like feeling real self-conscious.
You almost need a sign in the window.
I'm allowed to be here.
I'm just getting supermarket stuff.
I need to eat. I'm hungry. But other than that, no, I actually quite enjoyed the whole experience.
Good. And I know you break up your time in the van with house sitting. How do you find that?
Yes, I've actually just up until yesterday I was house sitting for a week, and it's sort of, I'm always in two minds about it because I love animals, so house sitting is a great way for me to just have animals around.
We turn up here and there's a random cat on your lap.
Yeah, I arrived yesterday in the campground and literally within 5 minutes the camp cat had found me and had, you know, made itself comfortable.
Come inside the van and sitting on your lap.
So yes, I love that. But and it's nice, and especially in winter, you get a break from the van. You know, we were talking just before about how hard it is in winter to dry things. Where do you
hang up a soaking wet rain jacket and gumboots and wetsuits?
Yeah, exactly. You know, sports gear and all that stuff. So that's nice, and you can like do all your laundry and all that stuff. But the funny thing is, like, or not the funny thing, but I always feel really happy when I'm back in my van. And I'm always like
probably
excited.
Appreciate it more as well.
So
the little niggly things stop annoying you.
And it's just so nice to be back, like in my lovely little cozy space, and it's my space, and so it's, I'm glad to have the opportunity to house it a bit, but you know, at this point I wouldn't want to swap the van for a house permanently.
Have you found house sitting's gone a bit quiet right now? Oh yeah, okay. Everyone's stuck at home.
It's the only thing you now get is like shorter ones, you know, a few days, few weeks, whereas usually, you know, Kiwis in winter go overseas, you know. So last year actually, it was all like friends and friends of friends, so people were coming to me.
Okay,
you know,
word of mouth.
house sit for me, and it was all sort of, I think the shortest one I did was 3 weeks. The other ones were like 4 week.
Yeah.
And then you've got like 3 of those over winter.
Because I know you were based in Auckland most of the time.
Yeah, so
and I've found campgrounds in Auckland were just not particularly enjoyable, especially with a caravan. So I guess house sitting is one way to get around it.
Yeah, exactly. And last winter I actually had work in Auckland, so that kind of worked out well, because you know the story, I lost my first van, and then I had to find some extra work, and wasn't quite sure, you know, if I'm going to have a van again. So yes, the last year I was actually in Auckland and working in Auckland.
So now we're going to talk about what happened to your first van.
Yeah, unfortunately it was about 18 months, I think, 18 months after I bought it, I was told that it is about, you know, 4 hours away from completely falling apart thanks to
pretty
rust.
close. Down to the wire.
Yeah, apparently it was really not far off. So yeah, I mean, it's, you know, I think everyone knows a common issue with these older vans, especially in New Zealand, having that maritime climate. But clearly I sort of got the wrong advice from the wrong people, because I did all the right things. Like I had a pre-purchase inspection done. You know, I always took it to what I thought were sort of respectable garages for warrants of fitness, and but yeah, it didn't come up at all. Like no one mentioned rust to me until like 18 months later, out of nowhere. You know, I was getting a warrant of fitness, and they're like, they're literally like, he wanted to show me how bad it is, and so at the passenger side, he just like kicked the you know, thing you step on to get into the van. He just kicked it and it like fell off to like show me how bad it is. And it's like, well, you know, don't kick my van. But yeah, so that's how bad it was. And then obviously that was like a bit of, you know, not quite ideal.
No.
For me. So yeah, so that one had to be written off. And I was house sitting in Auckland for a few months and earning some money, and then I bought this one about a year ago now, actually. I think it was a year ago yesterday or something like that. Yeah.
Happy anniversary, Ben.
Funny thing is, it's like it's so much like the old one that like heaps of people that I've met, you know, since were like, oh, didn't you get a new van? And I was like, yeah, this is the new van. It looks exactly like the old one.
I know Lisa stays at different types of campgrounds to me. She does a lot of freedom camping.
I really like the dock campsites as well, which are sort of, you know, almost freedom camping, but you pay a little bit. I like places that are kind of a bit scenic and have like a nice view, and I feel like I'm sort of in nature and in the bush, and campgrounds are great for sort of their convenience and your connection to power and showers and all that stuff, but quite often the, you know, location wise, they're just a bit commercial. You know, you just sort of got a row of motorhomes and a row of, you know, caravans and camper vans, and I like being sort of in the more in the nature feely kind of places. So that's where like freedom camping spots are often a bit nicer, or the dock sides, or, you know, those sort of spots.
How safe do you feel camping at some of these freedom camping spots?
So I've never had any issues with safety, actually, and I did think about it a little bit when I first started, and sort of along the way as well. And as I mentioned before, you know, walk through to the driver's seat is quite important to me. I always make sure that I lock the doors at night. You know, I always put my keys in the same spot so that if something ever happens, I can leave. But yeah, I've never been unsafe. I've never been in a situation where I felt like threatened by anyone or you know, anything like that. So yeah, so far it really hasn't been an issue for me at all, and I'm someone who loves her own company and spending time on her own, so I actually really enjoy it that way. And I've got a bit of a hard time imagining, you know, living in a small space like that with another person. I don't know if I could do that, so for me, doing it on my own is absolutely the way to go right now. See, this would be even better if there were like a beach and the ocean and not Karen's caravan blocking the view.